Hey everybody, so this week we're going to start talking about drawing from observation, and it's pretty easy once you kind of learn the little tricks and stuff. What it takes to get good is practice, so it's just like anything else. If you enjoy doing it, you keep doing it, and you get better over time. So the first thing we have to learn to do, hang on, I'm walking around out of the chalk with my pencil. The first thing we have to learn to do is to forget, what we think that things look like. We have to learn to start looking at the actual objects you're trying to draw. And one of the ways to do that is to do something called a blind contour line drawing. Blind contour line drawings are drawings that you do where you're just looking at the thing you're trying to draw and you're not looking at the paper. It sounds counterintuitive, but what it does is it forces you to make your hand and your eye move at the same speed. So these are examples of blind contour line drawings. This is a self-portrait that I did of myself, and then this one is just a drawing of my hand. And that is what you all will be doing for Art 1, is doing a blind contour line of your hand, or several of them. Usually you want to do a number of these before you ever get into just doing a contour line drawing. And that'll come up next, but we're just going to talk about doing this right now. So, I've got a clean sheet of paper here. And just like I said in the earlier video about like making associations, or it may be the later video, I don't know, it'll be on there. But we need to figure out how to draw by looking very closely at structures. And a lot of times what people try to do is they'll come in and go, okay, I gotta draw my thumb, I gotta draw my fingers. And so they'll end up with a hand that looks something like this. And that's a hand, sort of, but it's not very accurate. And they're just kind of going all the way around and doing the outline. In a blind contour line drawing, you want to treat it like it's one continuous line, so you start somewhere and you just keep the pencil down on the piece of paper and you work your way around it as you go along. And as you get to one thing, you draw it out, and then you draw out the next, and then the next. And as you go, you build it up, and that's how you want to do a drawing when you're doing either blind contour or if you're able to look at the paper. Anyway, so for a blind contour line drawing, what we want to do, and I'm going to do one here. Now you'll just have to trust me that I'm not looking at the paper. And if you look at these, things are out of place, like things are not exactly where they should be, nor are they all the right size. That's something you work on when you're able to look at the paper. So number one here is you have to go slow. You have to make your hand and your eye, your hand with the pencil, and your eye move at the same speed, so that you're recording all of this information as you go along, okay? So I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to try to talk while I'm doing it. It's easier if I don't talk, but anyway. So usually where I'll start is with like the thumb. You can start wherever you feel like you are more apt to be able to start, and then again, draw slowly. You're just making your hand and your eye move together. And the first one's probably going to be not as good as the later ones. And what I'm looking for with these are like the smaller details, like that you're going in and you're recording like the creases in the skin, like around, like bends in the fingers and things like that. And so again, just one continuous line. So don't worry if you don't get something all at once. You can come back to it as you're working your way around. And every little curve and niche and every little thing you see, you should be drawing. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to make note of where I stopped. The object is not to look and is not to stop. but just to talk about this for a second. So you can see here where like this is my fingertip. If I was actually drawing this, the fingertip would be like around in here, but just because I'm not looking at the paper, you can see how far off it is. But what I'm going to be looking for is like the shape of the thumbnail, or that you're going in here and collecting these little bits of information as you're recording what you're seeing. Anyway, we want to maintain our viewing angle, so if you do move or stop, make sure you make note of where you're at. So I'm just getting in here and drawing like the creases in around the finger. And notice I'm not trying to draw the whole finger at once, I'm just drawing a piece of it. So I'm just drawing that first section. I'll draw the second one. I'm still going to have to double back, so I'll put a little bit more information in there. Sometimes you have to double back. And then we're going to get the end of the finger, come back down. Okay. I'm going to work my way down here to the bottom. So notice I'm going slow. I'm really kind of taking my time. Anyway, I stopped for a second. So, things are going to get a little distorted. But again, I'm going to be looking for these smaller details because that's where the accuracy is going to be. Oh, I'm not in my screen here. Anyway, I'm going to be looking for these like smaller details of like, these very specific marks like the lines in here and around the knuckle in that area. So, as you go along, don't worry about these looking bad. They're going to look bad. That's kind of the point. You're not looking at the paper. Just take your time. I always have trouble when I get to my ring. It's kind of just concentric bands of metal are kind of aggravating to draw. But as you work, and you just work your way through it, one of these will take 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 15, if you're going at the proper speed. As you get better at them, you can go a little faster, but especially for the first few that you do, you want to really take your time. I'm having to hold my paper from moving. I can probably speed up a little bit now. I've done so many of these now that I tend to do a little better with them if I can move a little quicker, but that's just me. So again, as I work my way through, and again, you should be going slowly, and I've been trying to go as slow as you all need to go, at least for the beginning of this here. So that's pretty much, a whole blind contour line drawing. And you can see, like they're very similar. And again, the more you do of these, the better they get. But you can still see like things are out of place, things are not quite the right shape in some places. But overall, I'm looking at like things like the spaces between, like you can kind of get that same kind of shape in there. So that's kind of how you tackle a blind contour line drawing. So you all, read the instructions. You're going to have to do several of these with a few different poses and things. So just take your time. When I say poses, the first one, maybe open palm like this, just to keep it simple. The second one, bend some fingers. And on the third one, hold something like a pencil or a pen in your hand that you're looking at. Again, do not look at the paper. I can tell if you're looking at the paper, and I can tell if you're going too fast because things will be all kind of squished. So, you want to really take your time with these. It's gonna be slow. It's gonna be hard to do. It is very difficult to not look. You're gonna want to look. If you do have to look, the goal is, again, not to look at all through the entire drawing. But if you do have to look, stop drawing. Just make a note of where you stopped and look at it. Go back to drawing. Make sure you maintain your viewing angle. So like if you're looking at your hand like this, if you start to twist it or move it, that's a completely different drawing. So if you're holding it like this in the beginning, you're holding it like this all the way to the end. Anyway, good luck. Let me know if you need any help.